we're into picks and bans, and they're going to remove the Yuumi. So that's the first step of immediate adjustment, which I think we should be happy with.
First pick LeBlanc? Like, why not? That is the Jace Melio Poppy ban and the Yuumi Vi Nico ban. The first pick Sejuani comes through, so that is where TT are actually putting a lot of their priority.
Okay, so for TT, a couple of options then on the next rotation. You know, AD carry plus Cassante, both solo laners as well, could also be revealed. We'll see where WE go towards now. The Maokai was banned out in the second rotation. They want Hung's jungle pick early on. He was pushed down onto the Volibear, so I think for WE, just don't want to land on something like that again. And now it feels all right to go towards the Tristana because you've got that Maokai in the jungle. And you know, between, you know, what should be pushing the mid lane from Tristana in the early levels and what can be a lot of very oppressive objective control from the Maokai early on, you have a very strong pairing from the get-go.
Gives them a lot more stability around the map as well, and maybe some more of that enabling of the mid lane if they do want us to go with that flexibility in the mid lane for the Tristana. There's still been a resurgence, especially from Abel in the LPL of the Tristana and bot lane. It is TT who grab the Renekton.
Yeah, don't want to have to deal with it. So, you know, I mentioned the Cassante plus an AD carry. Same thing kind of applies here, right? Solo laner plus the AD carry still works out as well. And if WE want to go towards the Cassante, they certainly can, even though it can be, on occasion, a bit of a rough lane. We know the power of the champion, and it can definitely shut down Zeri's 1v1. We see it so often once the first couple of items come in, and that's exactly what WE are going to do. So just going towards strength of champion, now they can look to remove away some of those pain points from game number one, right? Yukao's LeBlanc is obviously the sore thumb that's sticking out in this one, but for now they go towards the Nautilus, and I can definitely respect that, right? You've already got the Sejuani and Renekton. Removing away Nautilus as an additional big bruiser definitely makes a lot of sense, especially with how much engage can be stacked on top.
And it's also just enabling of the kind of compositional strength we wanted from TT, right? Get Yao Yao connected with Beichuan and enabling Yukao. That pick's just really big for them. They will actually go ahead and take away the LeBlanc, so don't want to give that over to WE.
Yeah, not willing, and I think it makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, you're only really running with, in terms of point and click CC, technically just the Renekton, and Renekton shouldn't really be locking down a LeBlanc like that very frequently. Azir will be removed away from Yukao here, so that's what the call out and the thoughts are on that one. I really want to see WE just go towards another, either go towards their mid laner, effectively just reveal that Tristana flex. I think holding on to support R5 here is going to be super valuable, just because TT already have the Renekton and the Sejuani, so they're set up for very, very strong team fighting. And if you blind pick a support, you know, especially a melee, if you run into Braum plus Sejuani and Renekton, you're just going to get out bruised. So I like the fact that they hold on to support counter pick here, and now WE,
it's even if they
Nami, do
though,
end
right?
up. Yeah, I mean, it should be in more worlds than not. We'll see what TT decide to lock in. I wonder if they do something kind of crazy like this Tristana as kind of a, or rather as that Blitzcrank, but I feel like the Lulu makes a lot more sense just as a blind safe staple, as you're probably anticipating that the Nami will come in at R5.
And their team fight is just cracked right now, especially with a lot of the survivability they have for TT's side. You do wonder what Yukao's going to be looking to pilot. He does have the Ahri still available with still big build Static Shiv as well. But we do wonder if he wants to go with more of a carry style. He's going to need to be a bit of a bridge, as we've seen multiple times before, as Zeri is not strong until late game. And we get Yukao's Akali coming through.
Yeah, I like that. I was thinking like diving assassins. You said Ahri, and then we get the Akali. I was thinking also Silas could be good. You've got the Maokai ult steal away fairly consistently. Could have been nice, and obviously we know how strong that duo is with the Sejuani, but it's the Akali they land on, so level 6 will be the power spike. And WE go towards that Nami, so Lucian Nami on the bottom side. We know what to expect from that early laning phase. It kind of does get, on occasion, neutralized by the Zeri Lulu, right? It's not uncommon, but once the first item comes in, it's all about the burst and all the priority and forcing that you can get out with that combination. So WE go back to basics for a majority of the meta, right? This is effectively 4.5 champions, which we're super familiar with in the meta, plus that Tristana's, that safety net for Shanks. And on the opposite side, you know, effectively the same thing. Strong top side, mid lane going to be very powerful at level 6 skirmishing, and Zeri Lulu to be used as the late game insurance policy. So we could get either one of two things here, Mazel. A very, very quiet early game, or a lot of heavy trading throughout the lanes into explosive team fights.
Ah, man. After seeing that game number 1, the bar of execution need to be reached, not reached for WE. I'm curious how it goes down this time, as maybe honed in focus for game number 2 makes that difference, because it did feel like a couple things going WE's way would have led to a bit of a snowball for them. But TT have a pretty stalwart composition, grabbing a lot of the big meta pieces from around the map and around the rift that we have in the LPL so far. We're kicking off game 2. We're back in WE's home arena in the home rift. It's TT versus WE. Game 2 kicks off now.
Ooh. Listen to those gyos in the Xi'an arena. It's TT and WE half matchup here. Iwandi.
Can't have that go down. If you're going to go down to first blood, it could leave open a lot of early advantages. As Beichuan will have to back away. Iwandi, let's get that reset off. Already burned that heal. So bot lane for WE coming back a little bit worse for wear, but Beichuan stopped in his back. Hope, you're a menace.
Yeah, a little bit of annoyance there, but Beichuan should still be able to make it up to his desired camp of choice for his start. And information traded. WE get a ward on the blue buff, and for the most part, TT, no real deep information, just that one pixel brush ward to cover potentially, you know, a super aggressive move from Hung, unlikely to occur. And yeah, I feel like Nazel, at the very least in this game, we should be set up for a fairly quiet early game. I think for the perspective of WE, they have the opportunity maybe to, you know, get a shove in via Shanks' lane, just because Kali's never really going to be able to gain priority, and then maybe move as a duo to a side lane. But beyond that, I feel like both these teams, it's going to be more about the individual laning prowess, right? Trading going to be super important down here. Hope Iwandi should look to be as aggressive as they can be.
And I do really wonder, because traditionally in a lot of matchups, Akali's like trading health to try to get minions for the first like 6 levels or 5 levels or whatever. And so into the Tristana matchup, I do wonder what Shanks can do earlier on if we do get a quick little adjust in pathing from Hung, because that could be a power point for them.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's one of the few things of action or points of action that we should see. I think for TT, you know, Beichuan and Hoya can definitely link up as a duo, right? If they want to try and dive cube, if he ever gets a little bit too low on a couple of trades here and there. There's a really nice trade. Back and forth. 1xN though, going back forward.
Nice little trade back on Iwandi there. Just make sure to keep the Nami a little bit lower. It is nice, as no heal available there either. Hung with a quick adjustment of pathing, but not towards his blue side. It's to go down bot lane.
Yeah, and I mean, 1xN, super low, 200 HP, Yao Yao, no cleanse, so both targets super,
they
super
must
good.
know. They know. He's got the dodge out there. He might still get hit on the way out. No, Hung can't follow it up. The saplings, not going to be enough this time around. And TT's bot lane get out by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, 1xN, though, crucially gets out without blowing any summoner spells. That's huge, I think, for a situation like that. To be able to keep your AD carries flash and cleanse feels really, really good. Yao didn't even really need to blow the flash necessarily, but just pulls Hung further away to ensure that Hope and Iwandi can't get on top. And now he's just going to go back to a quiet reset, but that wave state, really, really bad. Glad the Observers hover back over it for 1xN, right? He's going to miss out on the majority of this wave as well. So WE find themselves with an advantage on the bottom side of the map, and we'll see how TT can look to try and alleviate some of that pressure in the coming minutes.
We'll check back in on bot lane here soon, but I'm still so curious about this mid lane. Like, do you just take the Akali to be able to kill the Tristana once you hit level 6 over and over again every time you see her? Because at this point, it feels like a lot of pressure can be given over to Shanks earlier on.
I mean, even then, sometimes it can be difficult as Akali to fully stick, just because Shanks will have the rocket jump. He can potentially get the reset if you're not inside of the shroud, off the explosive charge, and then of course the buster shot too, available if ever Shanks feels like he is at a major risk of dying. So, you know, I feel like for this Akali pick, it's really going to be more about, you know, the first couple of objective skirmishes once level 6 is online. You might not necessarily always have first move, but when you've got things like the Renekton and potentially the Sejuani to play through on the top side, that first Herald skirmish is where I'm really looking at to be a point of power for TT.
We'll see if they will check that box. We've still got a long while till that comes out. We do have a dragon coming up, 20 seconds. Pressure from WE in a lot of ways through mid lane. Maybe enabling Hung to get some early objective control for WE, something they got early on in game number 1, never went back. As you do wonder now with this wave kind of going the way of WE, if with Hung passing top side, how they make this combination work.
Exactly. We'll continue to track and trace. I feel like for WE, objective control should just generally be name in the game, right? Hope and Iwandi should be able to trade pretty efficiently here. That was a really nice sidestep from 1xN on that bubble.
So good, man.
Just make sure like he can get to hold onto his cleanse or anything like that as well.
Yeah, that's the summoner spell diff now not going to be mattering as much anymore, as everything's really back up for WE as well. But special shouts to 1xN coming off a really, really good game number 1, kind of capitalizing on UCal's early successes, but also against Hope. Manny sat behind for a brief little stint on JDG, now facing him against his new moniker of WE Hope. And Beichuan making sure that things are okay down here. So no fighting between these two unless it's TT's way.
Exactly, no fighting, Peaky Blinders style. As Killian Murphy might be a little bit upset, depending on how Hung decides to approach the bottom side here. I feel like they could be all right. WE just looking to get priority, and again, you know, we said objective control. Hope is kind of chunked out. He's got a biscuit, and Nami's going to be able to heal him back up. I wonder if they want the dragon, just because Shanks is always going to have shove here in the mid lane as well.
Got level 6 now.
Moved up.
A little bit of a dragon dance going on, potentially, but the Scuttle Crab first takes priority.
Yeah. Skull, apparently. They just didn't want Beichuan to move in. Potentially
what would a dragon dance be? What kind of dancing? Flamenco? Would it be like some salsa?
No, I feel like it'll be something
like good old country two-stepping.
Oh gosh, no, I was getting a little bit too comfortable over in the south, hearing so much country music, a little bit of two-step every now and again. Now I feel like a dragon dance would be something pretty intimidating, you know, like I'm thinking like hacker-esque.
Oh my God, we went to the same place. I was gonna say it, but I was like, is he gonna go with hacker? Interesting.
Yeah,
okay,
I feel like it has to be something.
You're just yelling at each other, standing across from each other.
Yeah, that's what we need. As Shanks did actually exchange the Oma in that trade there, so he is now, you know, by all intents and purposes, a little more vulnerable. But what it does do is push Yukao underneath the tower, ensure that Shanks gets priority on that wave, and with the bottom side of Hope and Iwandi looking for a reset after also crashing in a wave, it just secures the dragon. And TT don't really have much of a direct answer outside of Beichuan, who is going to steal away a couple of camps, and that's always going to feel great in the immediate, but he wants to look for a little bit more off the back of getting these camps as well. Maybe a topside play. Cube is
a riveting early
like
game
45%
action.
HP. Yeah, a riveting game. You know, I always say League of Legends, when played properly, is always kind of like a game of chess. You know, it's always going to be about moving pieces and, you know, trading parts here and there. And it feels like WE and TT, at the very least, for the first 8 minutes of this game, have caught onto that memo. Herald will be exchanged, as no one on WE from the bottom side of the map is really interested in rotating over.
I'm surprised that WE didn't reset onto the top side of the map, try to contest Rift Herald, but they will be able to get the red side of TT.
You know, they had the window for it, right? But I suppose what they could be scared of is, you know, if TT, you know, kind of acknowledge that maybe WE do have a good reset timer, is Hoya just completely eviscerates the wave up on the top side, because he can always kind of do it in front of Cube's face, and then he dips into Fog of War, and things get kind of scary. So why not just stick towards the bottom side of the map? If you felt like you've lost your jungle camps on the top side, you see Hung has traded out the red buff, so camps are equal, and then you can continue to put pressure down on the bottom side like this. Yao Yao. Oof. Forced to flash out.
Really, really good vision control from WE towards this bottom side jungle of TT. Nobody's really been able to clear that one out, and Yao Yao might have been able to on his way out, but he gets pressured, so he has to flash. And now they just have to defend bot lane as Hung, with all this vision, knows that there's nothing coming to help them.
Yeah, the question is, does that control spot him out? No, definitely doesn't. And now a dive is on its way. Ultimate's rolling in.
All right, here comes the growth. Can it happen? Nobody goes down. A nice wave clear comes out from 1xN, and really only the lightning crash and the cleanse used.
Yeah, I think the crucial thing as well was when that wave died, I think it leveled up Yao Yao, so gave him the wild growth. I'm not entirely sure. He was definitely level 5 when he had to flash. So I think just that level up of potentially having to deal with the wild growth was too much for WE. So great acknowledgement there that they had to just pull away from the play. And pressure definitely mounted. A couple of plates stripped away, right? So still feels good. They get 1xN's cleanse. And They can kind of just walk away for now, happy with the exchange now that Hope has the Kraken Slayer, and with that first item locked in, a little more burst available, and maybe WE can look to force the issue even harder.
First item should be coming up pretty much across the board here. We do have Rift Herald available for Beituan, and you do wonder where he wants to use this. I think there's a lot of options. I think solo lanes actually look pretty good. Obviously, getting this area ahead, any gold is nice, but I would actually really like to see TT go for solo lane advantage.
Yeah, you know, speaking of like tower destruction, just for a moment, I'm very surprised Shanks hasn't chunked down this tower more than he actually has, given the lane matchups. Only one plate as they have to pause on this as Hung and Iwandi looking for Yao Yao. Remember, no flash on the Lulu, but Yukao, Beichuan, very strong duo, Akali Sejuani to potentially run face first into, so just think twice, clear away the vision, and again, just eyeing up, walking towards this bottom side, just continuing to control as much vision as they can down here. And again, that is always going to be the power of Maokai.
Yeah, I also just appreciate Shanks' willingness to play forward like that and put down as much range poke as possible. That was something that I was interested not to see as much utilized in game number 1. The way that they kind of never had their double ADC comp ready to go in the way you kind of want it to be. And now you have Shanks playing a lot more comfortable on the Tristana from mid.
Yeah. But not only that, I think in comparison to game number 1, you have a much more consistent front line, right? Kasante is always going to be able to disrupt the back line, which is always going to draw attention from TT. But not only that, Maokai, you know, excels at dealing with, honestly, just because the ultimate, on occasion, multiple members diving in to try and assassinate the back line. The ult can root one, the Twisted Advance can get another, and of course the knockback to ensure that no one's getting on top of Hope in a consistent manner will always be there. Now Hung looking for the redive again.
It's been so good in bottom side. The double bubble, toil and trouble. That's a big first blood for WE. They're going to dive back in with Hope, who's taking down 1xN. 1xN can't get the distance, and that's 2 quick kills to the Hope of WE.
Oh, you have to feel a little bit bad for 1xN on the back end of the trade, though, don't you? Because he was so close to just making everything kind of work out. Get 2 kills, maybe almost, but TT get kind of run over in that dive. Well played, well executed, and set up by WE as Beichuan's going to stop the base of Shanks, and they are trading out with a couple of plates in the mid lane. And that's going to be huge. Actually, this is Akali going Static Shiv here. I didn't actually realize, so we'll see where exactly Yukao ends up. I've not personally seen too much Static Shiv Akali, but of course, with how much mobility she has, she's always going to be able to stack up those energized procs quite quickly inside of the Shroud as well, all of the additional movement speed. So it's not like it's a terrible item. I was just quite surprised to see it as a pickup.
Thing that worries me, though, for sure, is 2 kills going to Hope on this Lucian. He now has a BF sword in tow, but as well as that Kraken Slayer doubled up for Shanks and Hope. Dragon is coming up on the table. You see, actually, it's TT in position right now for that to try to set the pace.
It is indeed. And pace successfully set, I feel like.
They do not have item advantage here. They're just taking this.
Listen, look, right, bud? All right, sometimes pace is stronger than items, and in this case, WE are just not ready to be down here for the Dragon, despite all of the consistent pressure, including this dive. Look at this bubble, look at this wave. It's excellently timed to ensure that there's no way to reactionarily flash out of your 1xN, caught up in all of the chain CC, and this is where it starts to go a little bit awry here, as the tower shots start to ramp up in damage, right? Hope ends up tanking the tower second instead of Hung. Things get a little bit awkward as we come out of that replay, and again, WE just continuing to mount the pressure down here on the bottom side of the map, just being unrelenting in ensuring that they can continue to try and push 1xN down.
This control ward has been a menace. Beichuan finally will realize that bot side control has been WE's the whole time. We did get red buff given over to Hung, and a nice bit of a aggressive stance from WE so far on this bottom lane. But that's where they have to focus, right? Like, they have to get Hope and Iwandi ahead to get out on the map, get things going for this double ADC composition.
Yes, they do.
Ooh, solo lanes. Okay. Yukao?
He does.
Very tanky boy.
Yeah, Cube has been set up here scaling for a while. I imagine if he doesn't have first item already, he went Thornmail. Very interesting. So this is an adaptation into Renekton and other, like, generally all attack heavy champions. Olaf was the other one where if you're playing a tank that can rush this Thornmail, it's actually really, really efficient just to how much damage it deals back. as well as the heal cut, so you do really kill off a lot of effective HP of the opponent if they do have healing in their kit. I did mention this the other day, like, if you play things like Ornn as well, it's really efficient when you're into heavy ore attackers. Do consider rushing that item, and does, at the very least, slow down his ability to get to that Iceborne Gauntlet, right? But his ability to potentially 1 versus 1 with Hoya and, you know, ensure that those shorter trades are a little more his side favored for Cube. That's what that Thornmail Rush definitely does provide for him. So see where he decides to go, as, again, it will delay that Iceborne Gauntlet, which does give him all of the 1v1 pressure for Zeri.
We also
down quite a bit.
We also have those item spikes finally coming online. 1xN has the Trinity Force, so while it's not the Runan's second item completion, it's something. While Hope on the other side has 2 items now. The Gale Force completed. Not bad.
Not bad. You know, WE, all of their efforts are being rewarded on the bottom side. And with those 2 items, I expect they'll look to consistently take a lot of mid lane priority for now. Just because of the numbers being forced by TT, they'll get it and just see if they can push a vision line up. But you can kind of see here, like, even in this kind of trade, like, look at the healing and how little there actually is from the, you know, Fury empowered Q and a Gordrin cut. That's what Thornmail can provide for you as a
XN. There's that 2 item spike right to the face of 1xN.
Yeah, 1xN was not ready for that. He just wanted chicken, man. A little bit of fried chicken on a Saturday night.
Hope says, no, you no eat today. You're not eating. No. There's no chicken for you. This is my game.
Lunch money. Just took his lunch money entirely. And now, again, you know, we said, when speaking about the 2 items, how powerful they are, just going to look to continually force the issue, press matters into their own hands. And TT, I don't feel like they're necessarily in a massive hole just yet, but, you know, let's say you want to avoid being 6 feet deep. That's a general rule of life. They're about 2 feet deep right now as TT. And they want to try and...
They're wondering why there's dirt hitting them in the face.
Yeah,
why are you digging? Just keep standing there, TT. Just keep standing there. It's fine. Just gotta get 4 more feet down.
Yeah, 4 more feet, and TT need to avoid that. WE, however, I feel like I'm definitely in a very good position right now to continue to put pressure down in a consistent manner. If they'd picked up that previous dragon, which I feel like by all rights they certainly could have looked to have contested at the very least, then this next dragon would have been potentially sole point. But at a dragon apiece, it definitely will slow down the overall pace of the game and the urgency potentially you'd want to force out of TT to make some errors. But it is also a Chemtex, so it's not necessarily the highest, you know, yield soul or dragon in the game, as use the E to get over the wall, and that was on vision, so
full vision.
WE just immediately collapse over because they know he's not going to have that dash out, no flash for 40 seconds either, and E, Gale Force, Nami damage, all of this extra coming out from Hope as well, just because these 2 items.
Cancels the
easy
ulti.
Pickings.
Yeah, just to get those extra autos, the empowered as well. Really good stuff. Cleanly done from Hope. Now we get this composition from WE, putting a bit of pressure on the map for TT, something we haven't been able to necessarily say in the double ADC comp that WE's gone twice in a row. This will be second dragon for them as well. And having Hope and Iwandi in mid lane now with the power they have as a duo is lighting things up.
Yeah, and going towards Rapid Fire Cannon, 3rd item. Very cheap, so he should be approaching that one, potentially even before 1xN has Runans, given where he's at with the items in inventory and such. So definitely a very rough spot for T to be in. Now what I will say is their ability to teamfight can be very powerful, but again, you know, I feel like they are kind of item bound at the very least by Zeri, and the fact that Hope and Iwandi are so powerful, but Hoya's looking for it anyway.
From Hoya trying to slice up some fish here. He can't get Iwandi down, and now he's just caught out. Can he heal enough? He's out of there. Cube is coming. Yukao, he wants some. He gets 1. He's looking for Hope. He gets 2. And now Shakes is chasing him down. Gets the resets here as TT's chasing down Cube. What is happening right now? 1xN is on the wrong side of town, but he says, no, you. As Cube is trying to run around, figure out what to do with his life. It's TT that finally finds a fight, Jamana.
And I was just saying, look, TT, they have the ability to teamfight because their composition is designed for it. And Hoya, like you say, just goes, you know what, I feel like sushi today. Goes on top of Iwandi. And eventually, once the collapse comes through, because of Hoya's initial work onto Hope and Iwandi's health bars, Yukao cleans up really easily. Cube not able to necessarily find the pressure that he wants on the backline dive whilst all of that was going on. Again, you know, we mentioned the Thornmail rush just because it's to deal with Hoya in the 1v1.
So dead
no
here.
pressures. Hoya, yeah.
Oh no! But Shanks had to do the classic ADC thing and walk into a bush. And Shanks, that's a big old crocodilian, baby! Hoya with the solo!
Look, man, we've seen so many times this Renekton is so obnoxiously powerful, and if you're gonna run face first into a brush, I don't know what else you expect as Shanks without the Buster Shot to, you know, again, open up that gap. Rocket jumping in there just feels like suicide, and
how many
Hoya
times
picks himself up an additional kill.
How many times does that happen to you? And you never go back for a second helping of walking into a bush into a Renekton, right? Like you do that once and you're like, all right, that you know, I lost half my health bar when I got one auto attack off. Maybe I walk away. No, let's do it a second time, because why not? And that ends up as Shanks dying. Hoya decisively trying to pick Iwandi, and then chaos just ensues here.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll see that final part in this end of this B-roll. But again, you know, Hoya does so much work on the health bars of Iwandi and Hope. Same thing as well from the ultimates from Beichuan, and Yukao able to just clean up as the health bars way too low. Sure, gets picked off by Shanks, but you know, you remove the core components of what made WE so strong, and all of a sudden the gold lead, you know, evaporated. It's even. Yet again, Yukao with all of that extra gold, not only does he have a stopwatch, but he now has the rocket belt on top of all of that. So if he finds backline access, he is going to eviscerate Hope, eviscerate Shanks and Iwandi. And that's something WE now have to continually deal with. Hung has to be on point with playing Peel for his carries.
And Hoya just got his second item as well. Going to be super scary on the Renekton. Did get that, you know, 4-item combo for Shanks and Hope. Hopefully that'll be able to do something. But the Runaans for 1XN starting to come online here for TT. And it was WE who were asked the question. You go with the double ADC comp twice, double marksman, you got to have that bar of execution. Game 1, not there. The push-ups or pull-ups were hard. Game 2, it was looking like starting in the right direction. Now 3-item spike for Hope. They got to make good on this.
Yeah, they really do. Some kind of massive yield has to come from the fact that Hope is now a 3rd item so early on in the game. But you can't help but feel that TT are on the cusp of, you know, finding a Zeri moment, some kind of nonsense again occurring, right? All it takes is for one major misstep from WE. Hoya finds the backline again and provides access for Yukao, like we saw in that previous exchange. And now that Baron's up on the table and a lot more viable to also take down, these kind of mistakes can lead to massive deficits.
So how are we feeling about letting the Renekton go over? I know you were saying, Drought, oh, the hopium, a little bit of copium going for the K'Sante. But so far, Renekton is king right now in the meta. I don't know what to say. What else?
Yep. I do agree. I mean, I feel like it's just a lot of the hype around K'Sante being so powerful, right? Renekton still does beat it into the ground in the laning phase. It's just about what Cube can actually get done in some of these team fights. He has to put down the pressure onto 1XN. Otherwise, you do feel that without being able to put pressure in lane and not being able to put pressure in team fights, you lose a lot of the power of what K'Sante can provide. WE need to use not only that pick, but of course Hope being at 3 items. They're going to pick up this tier 1 as TT have actually tried to approach Dragon through the bottom lane instead.
Oh god.
Still will be here.
They don't have Hoya here. He's all the way in lane still. Has a nice little flank KO, but he'll be seen the entire time. WE's
so
vision have been really good.
That's the problem, right? Even if he's able to approach from the behind, he's always going to be spotted out. And Cube can actually just man-mark him. At 2 items like this, I think he can just kind of walk up in his face, and now chunked out by Hope, who's going to chase him down.
Oh god, that's a Dominus pop. Nice little flash, and Hoya's down here. That should be TT. Oh my god, no way! Hope chases him out with that flash. That was huge. WE give over the dragon. It was a nice pick onto Hoya, and now you got pings coming from WE onto Baron?
I mean, yeah, I don't blame them. 4 versus 5. It could be a bit flippy, though.
Double
I will say that
marksman.
they got... Yeah, double marksman. It's pretty fast, but now Cube has
look
no
at
flash.
Hung.
Hope has no flash. So
Hung
TT,
is on a flank.
If Yukao can get in...
Nature's Grasp
Hung
is
on a
available
flank.
from Hung. He's looking for it on the side. Wait, it's so far back. God, no! WE, your plan has been shattered as Hope is trying to make it happen here. Shanks has resets. 1XN, can he do it? Is it a Zeri moment? 1XN shuts it down, and Hung's play has gone completely mid-lane.
I mean, WE, they get death rolled, and Hoya's not even there this time around. It's just a collapse from Yukao. Empowered Blast Cone throws him into the middle. Beishuan just gets inside the mixer, and Hung on this long flank finds nothing with the ultimate from downtown. He doesn't lock up 1xN or Yao Yao. Now WE trying for a bit of a desperation on the retake here, but TT surely just have to Baron or they can find a turn.
Shanks is down. No, he gets locked out here. T are turning. Hoya has popped Dominus, but it's
low.
Baron in the eyes right now. Hung, can he find the miracle-making moment? Hoya getting low. It is not going to go down to, it's WE falling apart, but trying to find a little bit of picks on the back end. It's still Baron buffs going over to TT, but WE with a double kill on Shanks get to push this mid lane now.
Oh, it's messy, Mazel. It's so messy. Shanks for the Blast Cone might just take him over that next wall as well. Those Chemtech Rift ones so strong, but WE now, like you mentioned, tier 2 should be traded out. Couple of Baron stripped away, but 1xN has it. Yukao, I think, spawned up in time to also have the Baron buff, so gonna be able to split this across a couple of different lanes here, as replay is likely going to be all the way back. And like we said, like Hong on this flank, the idea, great, but TT just run ahead of it, right? 1xN is not held up at all by the Maokai, and all of this AoE damage from Beichuan, from Yukao, the Wild Growth knocks up multiple members too. It just feels like too much for WE to ever handle, even if they were, you know, with Hung in the pit here. It feels like the same kind of deal just kind of ends up unfolding, and yeah, really overzealous. In my mind,
it's very obvious to me.
Take up the Baron like that.
Yeah, it's very obvious to me that Hung has never played in American football because he didn't know how to lead his target. That's an obvious statement, but I think that fight goes completely different if the Nature's Grasp hits on multiple targets under the Baron pit. But it is now TT back on the map with this Baron buff, trying to make it a positive one and push in and return a little bit of that give that WE had.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what T1. 1xN. There's two T's even.
There's two T's. TTs.
TTs. But hey,
what does thunder sound like when it talks? Is that just a
like
boom?
Yeah.
Is that's thunder talking?
You know, actually, I don't know, do I get to make the cast about me for a second? I feel like there's about to be a fight. You know, the scoreboard gets pulled down. You're like, is something gonna happen? But whilst I was out in the States, man, Texas storms are kind
Dude,
of
they're the best.
They are really spooky.
No, they're the best. Man, if you'd ever watched a thunderstorm roll across the Texas sky, you haven't done nothing. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
It is one of the most epic and belittling experiences you could ever have, because you're just at the mercy of our grand nature. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thunder was talking. I will say that. And I could have sworn I started to see a NATO form, but that's away from Thunder. No. Yeah. I was like, oh, do I get the full-blown Tornado Alley experience? I didn't quite, but for WE, they have to feel like they're getting spun around in a tornado, I think, after the last couple of sequences of plays.
Yeah.
Baron is going to dissipate off of TT now, and I think for them, definitely going to feel quite nice to be able to potentially start to retake a little bit of positioning back now that their double AD carry has 3 items. 4, actually, in the case of Hope.
I like that
be
Hope.
able to contest.
I like that Hope is just like, you know, I don't need my upgrade boots. So if I'm going to die, I'm probably going to die. I just need to get as much damage off it as possible to get the resets for Shanks. And now with the Dragon coming up, you did get that 3rd item spike for 1xN, but it's WE that need to answer the call here, need to step up to the plate.
Yeah, WE do, because they've been outdone at every team fight corner so far in this series. And TT had not a lot of right to ever contest Hope in the mid lane, but right now he's going uncontested. Hoya has to just step back and respect. He's chunking out, so it looks like WE
gonna commit.
more invested in trying to just commit to the mid lane. Teleport's coming out as well, so
TT.
Ooh.
That's the GA that he almost got popped there, but albeit a Dragon for an inhib in mid lane. Pretty nice trade for WE at least, to have that pressure from that mid lane to work off of.
Yeah, I mean, all right, let's see what WE can do with these inhibitor minions, super minions through the mid lane now. Yukao, TT did base, but definitely not in time to defend that. And I'm not sure how worth this trade is. We'll have to see, right? If they can survive, I feel like TT should be able to now that Zeri's at 3 items, clear away those waves very comfortably. And you always get recontrol of mid lane.
Pressing.
Yeah,
Is literally
no
just find who you can find and take the fight every single time. You got hope on the flank though. Yao has to use the wild growth on himself. You got all 5 members of TT scared. The blast code breaking forward. I don't know if WE wanted that one necessarily. As Cube on the flank here doesn't find the angle he's looking for. Hoya's got a bunch of rage popped up. And TT with that aggressive advance tried to find something. Don't find it. Have to back away with some summoner spells burned.
Yeah, can appreciate what they were looking for, but they lose Yao summoners for it. And ends up not being necessarily the best target that they can find, unfortunately. Though the idea itself, definitely a very positive one. WE just reclaim, and now they'll be able to take control of the Baron area, set up vision, and force TT to have to be the ones that walk in. And that's always going to be super obnoxious. Again, Maokai, right? All those saplings just going to buy a lot of time as TT go and advance back into those areas. I think what we really want to see is Yukao get involved in another big team fight again, right? Every time that he's been in the mix, it feels like he just eviscerates WE's backline every single time. So we need access to be found for him. Until then, WE looks like they're just going to maintain control around the top side of the jungle, right? They've been so good at vision control throughout this game, early game throughout the bottom side when they were pushing 1xN very, very far behind. And now that they've got control of the top side here, expect them to maintain it though, Hung.
But TT are completely split. 1xN was on the other side. That's a flash burn from H1. You have Yukao here getting caught out on the side again. He's in the stride. He got TP now coming in for the flank from Hoya. WEB need to be a bit careful. They find Hope. The double knock up. And you got 1xN starting to fire away here with Hoya on the back line. But nobody can get to him. Nobody's there, but he has a GA. So he buys all the time you need. Yukao is picking down the double ADC composition. And Hoya goes down the crocodilian. Finally taken out by WE, but it was chaos thrown into their mix and a 2-for-1 for TT.
Goodness me, how did that only end up being a 2-for-1? I am so surprised, but W able to disengage on multiple fronts here.
Oh, no,
actually maybe call out phase rush. The knockback doesn't save him. It seems like it will. But man, oh man, that fight could have gone so much worse for WE considering how it kicked off. Cube was able to escape throughout the backside of the pit, and Hung and Hope able to pair up as a duo and just play enough peel to deal with the Crocodile. But Hoya found so much backline access again, and on the end of it as well, Yukao able to assassinate Iwandi and then almost find even more off the back end. And again, you know, these solo lanes here for TT so deadly when they find their way onto the backline of WE. It feels like the options, not necessarily limited, but if they're not being used by WE, right, to play peel for these carries, they are just getting picked off super easily.
We'll see now. So much give and take in this top side of the map. So much vision put down by WE. And the fact that both teams are just coming out of spawn, trying to fight each other around this Baron pit. You know where their eyes go, and immediately if they feel like there's a moment to swoop, they will try to take that down. We see Yukao initially gets caught here on the side, but it also forces WE into a very awkward position.
Yeah, because the teleport's coming in from the top side, and Hope gets chunked out so heavily. Fortunately for him, the permafrost didn't get pulled, but look at Hoya in the backline here whilst this is all going on. Shanks, rocket jumps, got hit by the Shuriken, and it just gives Yukao a perfect taxi in, and this is what I was saying, right? It's why I shouted out so loudly. The play was so slick to find Iwandi, and then also Shanks on the back end. That's now TT. Have control of the bottom side, because that's where they want Soul in 40 seconds time, but now WE.
They can just burn
they have
this.
vision, so they know it's going on. They know they've got the blue ward down, but look at the defense being played by WE. It's so good. This Baron's gone, I think.
1xN goes for it, hits that lightning crash. Look at the damage. Oh my god. The Baron, it'll go down, but TT wants to fight after. Hung trying to get his team out of there. WE just running away right now. Iwandi just trying to get a quick back right there, but 1xN will gun him down. A double into a triple. And TT, they lose that Baron, but they're pushing down top lane.
Yeah, who cares? They got 3 kills. It's a Zeri moment as she gets to open up onto the entirety of WE there, and this should also just be Soul, right? Sure, they lose the Baron, and that's gonna suck, but you're gonna be the ones walking away with the permanent buff if you so want. A couple of different options here available for TT. It seems like they're gonna land on just going towards this Soul, securing that buff, and then looking to open back out onto the map and try and strip away or open up this base now for WE.
things are getting so scary for WE, man. This soul, not only maybe not the biggest priority, is an objective gotten. It is a team composition where, yes, you're double marksman, but guess what's so good at killing double marksman? Assassins and a man named Renekton. And every time you go into this, 1xN is putting the pressure and buying so much of the eyes of WE.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so happy to go forward, isn't he, in a moment like this? So easy to when you've got the front line and all the distraction going on between Yucal, Xi'an. He's got all the space in the world. He actually initially looks for Shanks and Hope. That's what he's eyeing up here in this play, but recognizes that they're probably gone for the wind and can very easily pick up the other 2 kills instead. Now, at 4 items, has the shield bow on top of everything else. Doesn't go towards the Bloodthirster, curiously enough. Wants the survivability in case he drops low. Now, WE on the back foot again, right? Sure, they've got the Baron, but it's only really on 2 members, Shanks and Hope, and at this point, TT can kind of just siege happily wherever they go. That tower on the bottom side dropped to triple cannon wave that was stacked up. And now I feel as though WE are kind of going to have to reach, and reach quite deep for a strong team fight, right? Hope maybe that TT overstep in their dive, but this is one of the few times where I can honestly say Chemtech Soul is going to be really, really valuable, I think, right? Not only is it, you know, a 3 or a triple melee comp that all want to dive in, so they should naturally drop below that 50% threshold, and the damage reduction will be mildly useful, but, you know, a lot of healing throughout some of those kits, but also the shielding, right? 3 individual Chemtech Souls, the shield and heal power is going to be huge for all of these members here on TT.
Yeah.
So WE just have another mountain to kind of get over.
It's going to be difficult. They have the damage to do it, though. They're looking at a full build for Hope and very, very close for Shanks. You see one shot from Hope. Does a lot to 1xN, but he gets caught because he went forward. That's the cleanse burned. Now it's a turnaround on Day6. He gets the wild growth. But Hoya has TP'd and Yucal. What were we saying about the solo lanes? You've got to be careful when it comes to them. And now you've reset into a front to back for 1xN. He's getting burned down, though, in a pick apart fight from WE. Might just mean the game.
My God, it's Cube. He found the Q3 onto 1xN amongst all of the mayhem. And WE might have just flipped this game on its head with 1xN dead. There's no wave clear. It's Xi'an, Yucal, and Yao Yao against the world, but they don't have ultimates.
All right, you got Shadow Flame completed here for Yucal. He wants to do some damage. He gets chunked down here. Xi'an's just putting his body on the line as TT find one final defense that means nothing. WE, they've made this game a series so far, and it's a huge moment for a come-up for them.
They're so low, though. Yucal has ult.
Yucal flashing in there, trying to get the combo down, but there's so much CC and so much damage to come through from WE, and they're on to the last tower. Yucal goes in but dies. Shanks gets the resets, and WE get the game. We're going to 3, baby.
Oh my God, what mayhem just unfolded in front of us, man. God, I'm so sad we're not going to get a replay of that final team fight because it was Cube that managed to knock 1xN into the whole team and he's not able to reposition. I'm not sure if his flash was actually up or not, but it was absolute chaos and being able to pick off not only